Hey, what's up, everybody? I'll let everyone filter in here for a second. Um, let's see. All right, let me make sure that's up and running, and we'll pull up Gammastrike, and I'll get me two up here, I guess. Hey, what's up, man? Actually, you're gonna be. Give me. I'm gonna boot you, and then give me 1 second, and I'll just raise your hand again. All right. See if that's working. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yep. Mm, you there? Mm, hmm. Yeah, I can't hear you. Does anybody hear him? That's just me. Yeah. Okay, you can hear me. Good. Yeah, I'm getting like blips of audio out of you, need to, but nothing consistent. He's an otter. They make strange sounds. Lots of chittering. Yeah, you guys can hear me? Okay, cool. YouTube's good. Discord's good. Awesome. Thanks, Crunchy. Anytime, dude. You're only getting audio through YouTube? Oh. Discord audio's not good.
Test.
I can hear you now. I heard you say test.
I can't hear you, Gherk.
You can't hear me? Shit. Well,
My hissing noises because allergies.
I have to. There's like a driver conflict issue. I have to like log into Discord before I start OBS. Like I have to be on the stage before I start OBS. Otherwise, it sees it as like two devices trying to use the same. Whatever. Anyway.
No, I follow. Yeah. Computers.
Yeah. Horseshit. Stupid fucking Windows.
I mean, yeah, it's the root of a lot of our cybersecurity problems, but that's not what we're here for.
It's not. I assume you have questions about Gammastrike.
I do.
Fantastic.
I have a few.
All right. Well,
you want to wait for the boys, or you want to just jump into it?
Fuck it. Let's go. They'll be here when they get here.
All right.
Dork's like gooning with the marketing team, and JFresh forgot about it, so.
That's a little scary, Dork with the marketing team, but okay.
I mean, it's Barl's problem, not mine, right?
That's true. The live data.
Yeah.
Bottom left, the not the GEX, but the Gamma.
Mm-hmm.
It's prior to this eyeball environment, it was a nice curve.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of, but now it's just often it's just wonky and jaggedy as all hell. Like, is that something that's a scaling V2 issue, or issue that'll be fixed with V2, or is there something deeper, into that? Basically, how to read that gamma line in this current environment?
Okay, well, the end of day one that we're looking at here is not what it looks like intraday at all.
I don't even know. I don't even see what you're.
Oh,
I trust you.
Oh yeah, here.
I'm
Let me.
I
I'll share my screen in here.
All right. Go ahead. Excuse me.
There we go. So the one that you're seeing here, that's not really down here in this corner.
Yeah.
That's really not what it looks like during the trading day.
Usually it's kind of a parabolic curve.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a parabolic curve, and there is information loaded into that. And do you know why there's so much information loaded into it right now? Because volatility is crazy fucking high at the money.
Okay.
So
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so you're seeing the effect of that volatility on at the money gamma pretty substantially. You'll also, if you notice today, like the delta flip and gamma flip are very responsive. Like they're really, really responsive to price action.
Yeah.
That's also because volatility is so just insanely blown out. I mean, I think we ended the day with like at the money IV it was like fucking 180% or something.
Yeah, it's cuckoo for cocoa puffs.
So yeah, it's useful. I mean, it's telling you what the gamma is at each strike, like the gamma of that contract, versus like gamma exposure, which is the nave adjustment based on the market maker's exposure. It's telling you the actual gamma of the contract, and in some ways, it can kind of be indicative of direction as it shifts. Because you're gonna have that like parabolic curve, right? And you're gonna have spot that kind of falls somewhere in there, and you're gonna see this kind of like shift side to side, like the peak of it.
Yep.
And sometimes this, like the peak of it, will actually shift like a little bit out of the money instead of just at spot, where it should technically be the highest. And that could be because the IV at that strike is going up.
Okay,
It could also be due to speed. So as price is moving, you're getting an effect there from speed.
that makes sense.
Because
Okay.
remember there's like third with vol this high, there's like third derivatives start to come into play a little bit.
So speed and bond are much more in play.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is Dork
And
doing? He's like
he said he was gooning with the
he's
marketers.
no, he's like trying to like join and leave and join and leave. There he goes.
Oh.
He's like putting his hand up and down
I have to
repeatedly.
scroll
You
again.
son of a bitch. I couldn't click it.
Was it pinging you? Was it binging? Was it like giving you a little ding every
No,
time?
I just saw your like face flashing open and closed.
Yes, it does kick me out if you time me out, Carl. We tried this.
Were you playing peekaboo, Dork?
I was playing hand peekaboo, which is me and Gert's favorite pastime in a very important meeting.
Coachy Pie would like to know how I can get Gammastrike. Well, you can go to our website at app.gammastrike.com and you can sign up there. You can also check out our documentation, which is on the homepage and free for anybody to review. There's quite a lot of options, basics in there, and also information about our platform. All right.
They're really well done. Okay, and then so similarly, the IV line, bottom right, the purple.
Mhm.
So is there's a lot. I mean, been a lot of times in this high vol environment. It's basically been flat with a few smirks here and there. That's just another effect of high vol.
Yeah, so because the volatility is so high, it's not really flat. It's just the range that you're looking in. It's flat. Like there's a pretty well defined smirk even here, like end of day, right? Like it's very clear. Clearly like skewed to the put side. But yeah, it's just that like you've got like this massive like skew in the vol like that. And so you're getting this like the at the money vol is just kind of high everywhere. But it really much further out of the money, you start to get some curvature in it. It's just
outside the scale though.
Yeah, it's just outside the range of strikes that we're looking at. And like I can open that up and we could look at more strikes. Like right now it's $100 range. We could go out to like 200, but it's going to make it harder to see a lot of the other information.
Yeah.
And so what our intention with that is we're actually going to separate IV out eventually. We'll probably also separate out the live gamma. So live vol and live gamma will go into their own separate charts where you'll get a better, like a broader view of them. And then, we'll kind of collapse these two bar charts so they take up a little less space.
I got you. Yeah, what I typically do with this is I'll scroll it down to the bottom, so I have the two bottom charts, and then I'll drag the candles down so it fits on the screen.
Usually what I do is I kind of float it like that so I can see the like flip and the premiums and stuff. And then, because I don't really need to see the strikes. Like, I know where we're trading, and so I can just
Yeah.
mouse over them.
And then I think my last question is kind of the beginning of the day, like every, the live data, not so much this one, but the other page, it's just kind of wonky because it's the beginning of the day.
This one?
How? Yeah, that one.
Mm.
Yeah, like delta and gamma, especially. I mean, those are the ones I'm looking at the most.
Yeah, because these are
Like,
these are all 0 DTE charts.
Mhm.
And so there's just like
Yeah.
there's just not a lot of contracts at market open generally.
So
And
so
then as those
roughly,
fill in, these charts will flesh out more and more.
yep. And roughly, how long does that take to fill in your
It
experience?
depends on the day because it's going to be like volumetric. So high volume days it can happen really quick. Low volume days might take like 15 minutes before you have like some semblance of an idea of what positioning is looking like.
Yeah, because I usually for for early on, I use these more because there's only you know a handful of candles on the other chart.
Yeah,
Um, and but it's like, well, where's my? I guess right now, like support resistance are at the basically every $25 strikes.
pretty much.
So it's mostly just like I'm trying to figure out where to
We're almost at the point where it's
manage.
like every $50 you run into like
I
a
noticed that.
relevant level. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like 20, either that 25 or that 75. No, it doesn't matter. It just barrels on through it,
nope,
whatever direction it's going.
yeah.
No, because it's about managing the strangle legs, and it's like, okay, where's the likely resistance so I can, put a stop there and capture something if it starts to reverse hard or whatever.
What do you mean?
Okay. Oh, just because I'm using these earlier in the day to identify the support resistances,
Oh, are you exiting
so I
like
can
neutral positioning?
sometimes.
Oh, okay, that makes
I need to
sense.
be more patient though. I
Yeah,
need.
yeah. That's the probably the hardest part about managing like overnight straddles and strangles is that like sometimes
Patience.
yeah you've really gotta wait out. Like, you have to have a very good sense of what the levels for the day are going to be. Usually with like the overnight data, you want a pretty clear picture of like probably gamma out until like the next major expiry, so like the next Friday. And you
Okay.
want a pretty good idea of like delta around spot, and you want to you want to you want to have some idea about like the market makers like expected move.
Yeah, if only like someone would write all that stuff up every morning.
Yeah, I know. Me.
I know. Yeah, yeah, no, no. That's my facetious way of saying thank you.
You're welcome. I was
That's all I got.
happy
So
to do it.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Thanks for the questions, man. I appreciate it.
Woo. Where's Jay
Are you,
Fries?
He forgot about this, but he's supposed to be showing up at some point.
Nice.
Dork? Girk told me you were growth hacking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm girth maxing too.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm girth maxing as we speak. It's great.
Using that pump.
Yeah, the pump and the two plates.
Nice.
The screws.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
It's tough.
You squish. Yeah. You just put the plates on either side and then like compress and then pump.
Yeah, I actually was I have my wiener in like a vacuum chamber with the plates going on. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Brave
Those are the
Vacation
fun
says,
ones.
so I get daily DN, Gamma Max, call put flip to get the possible trading range. How to use it intraday in real time? Very similarly. I mean, your intraday DN, GN are going to be your flip points. I mean, they're not actually neutrals because they're volumetric based. They're not OI based. But so far, our proprietary formula for those is kind of just kicked ass.
Yeah, it does.
It's so fucking accurate. So, I mean, while I do have to, for posterity's sake, I do have to say, these are in fact not. Why is that fucking highlighted? Oh, that's okay. I got rid of it. These are not as accurate as, you know, the overnight ones. They are impressively accurate.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, it's
decent.
not. Oh, go ahead, Dark.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they're decent.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just impressed. Just watching like today. It's just, especially towards the end. It's like, no, there's a little triple top. Oh, it's trying up. No, we got a lower high, and it's hung up on one of the flips. And I don't know if Simo's in here, but I totally called the 5200. Well, test at the end of the day.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was
But
a crazy drop. Yeah, I was actually earlier today. I shorted this collapse in the Delta Gamma flip, and also this one because I noticed that like Delta was moving around a lot today. Like usually Delta is kind of flat. Like it doesn't do a
yeah,
lot. It just like it's usually like kind of a fixed point, but Delta was going fucking nuts today, and so it was like very like if you'd shorted here like at the crossover or at least like the first test, like that would have been like 52.66 all the way down to fucking 115.
yeah, no,
Even if you like got out by like the time they started to uncross, you would have been able to short like a solid like 80 100 bucks.
I mean, is that something that we should all be kind of watching out for? Is if the delta goes wonky and crosses into the gamma flip
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, Delta flip going below Gamma flip's generally really bearish. On the intraday. I mean, it's not my problem with it as an indicator is it's not leading, right? Like the actual leading part of it is like back here when things start to compress a little. But I mean, at that same time, you also could have just like looked at Delta and you would have seen like the downside Delta like skyrocketing. Because like Delta below spot picked up a shitload right around that time. And that's effectively what you're seeing here, right? Is you're seeing on this line, you're seeing that like downside delta pick up, and that's pulling that flip point down.
Gotcha.
But it was just such a dramatic move in delta that it actually like you've used this enough intraday to know that like normally it's like boop and like you might get like a little dip like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But this is fucking crazy, right? You've got like the delta flip dropping like a solid like $50 in maybe like 20 minutes. So that's pretty nutty.
Hmm. Fascinating. I'm happy to keep chatting, but is there anyone else with questions?
Yeah, probably.
Should be right.
I
Anybody?
got some questions in
Bueller?
the YouTube chat. Can you go over your new features that are coming to Gammastrike and when they will likely be released? Ooh, can we?
I mean, we could talk about. I mean, first things up in the pipeline are besides like just a bunch of busy work is like just new features to live data.
Yeah, we've got a bunch
Put
of
call ratio.
yeah, we got a bunch of
Put
things that
call
we're
premium.
gonna be adding, yeah, to live data to kind of finish fleshing it out. One of the things we're waiting for is for the new data pipeline to be
Oh yeah.
finished. We're getting there. We've been testing it this entire last week, but we really want to get that streaming like socketed data coming in before we start implementing new features. The features are
Oh, I get it.
actually pretty quick. The data pipeline is a beast.
Yeah.
It's an insane amount of work. I mean, he's basically Nuke is taking all of, what is it, like 16 terabytes of data an hour or something.
It's some ridiculous number. It's one of those numbers that's hard to wrap your head around. Like just how fast. Like it's primarily how fast it's going. Like
Yeah.
how easy it is to lose data and the absolute fire hose of trades that are coming through.
Yeah, yeah.
When when this comes
You have like
out,
hundreds of thousands of trades over like every like 1,000 millisecond window. And especially right now
yeah,
with the market conditions we're in now, where everything's just going nuts and delta's flying all over the place and there's just
there's just tons of volume.
there's just so
Like
much
it's
fucking
really
volume.
volume. Yeah. So
$50
when
swings.
this Yeah, exactly. So when this drops, just make sure everybody who uses this product, when it drops, send Nuke a tag, tell them you love it, even if you hate it. Tell them it's perfect and it's amazing.
I give Nuke positive affirmations all the time. The ones that
Well,
you
he's gonna
guys
need a lot
don't.
more for this one. Okay, need to. He
So
needs a whole bunch.
look, us aquatic mammals have to stick together. Um, yeah, I guess that was another question. I guess that, but I think you kind of answered. I was going to ask about so especially like on my sec, if Gamma Strike switch to the live data is not the active window on my then sometimes the candles get a little gappy in the price
Oh,
data.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That so yeah, if it's not the active window, also sometimes because of the way we update, we'll miss a trade in within the window it updates cuz right now it's updating every 5 seconds. Right? So it updates price and the candle every 5 seconds. And we do all the calculations within that window as well. And so you get what is very close to like us. It's kind of like a good substitute for what would be like truly like tick data. But sometimes you can miss a trade in within like the refresh, and so you'll see like a gap sometimes where there actually isn't one. And then when you go to refresh the data, like if you refresh the page, the gap will disappear. Same thing for when it's like off screen. I think it has something to do with like the way like Chrome and stuff partition memory. But yeah, if you're not viewing it on your like main screen, it's not updating.
I believe this is resolved with the new data feed.
I think it is.
Sounds like it should
The
be.
new one doesn't do that.
So that's good.
But I don't know if it'll still have, it may still have issues with being not the active window. We'll have to see once
Yeah.
it's like fully implemented on the front end.
Good thing you've got beta testers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed like TradingView is kind of similar in that it'll have gaps that aren't actually there, but if you refresh it, it doesn't fix it like Gammastrike does. So you've got better data. It's just it may
It's
not
pretty good.
be. Yeah.
Ooh, there's another feature coming out, Gert. Can I talk about this one?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
there's been a lot of
Well,
people
I don't know
asking
which
about
one.
V2.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
been a lot of
No,
questions about
yeah,
V2,
absolutely.
so I wanted to give you guys an update on that. We've had it running for actually quite a while in the dev environment, and it's been just chugging along, doing its thing, kind of hanging out. So we moved into non-prod beginning of the week, and it's working. So we're just trying to make sure that every time we switch it over, it goes smoother than the last. And then this weekend, we are going to implement it in the production environment.
What is it?
And so V2, so the thing is I just want to get one thing straight really quick with all you guys is that I'm terrible at coding. So and we've gone through a lot of like iterations and stuff, and we've improved our understanding of you know, how our input data can suck sometimes, and how to make sure that that doesn't bleed into our output data. We've really just, like, I went through and just completely revamped the entire thing, just started from scratch, rebuilt it, and this is what I came up with really just a big focus on fidelity at the input level, making sure that as early as we can, we catch everything that isn't right and we make it right. And ultimately, what it means is we will have better accuracy with our Greeks, our neutrals, and then our IVs as well. Pretty much everything is just going to be better. Just in terms of the calculation base, it's much more robust. So I've been looking at the numbers; they all look really good. It's the best numbers. They're so good, really good numbers. You'll be impressed when you see them.
Some people say
Uh,
some people some people say that they're the greatest numbers they've ever seen. They come to me crying and
yes.
say, Gherk, these
Where'd you get these numbers?
where did you
This is the
find these
best. Where are these
numbers?
numbers from?
They're so great. Nobody else has ever made numbers like this.
Yeah, they're great. So yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. And along with that, we have also done a little bit of backfilling with it on some data. So we are, after 2.0 has been in the production environment for about a week, we're probably going to start working on migrating some of that backfilled data in. What that'll mean is you will have SPX and SPXW going back to July 2015. That'll be something that'll happen as well. So you'll be able to see the COVID crash in all its glory. And it should give you a better idea about historic trends with volatility, at least on the primary index for the entire stock market. So yeah, it'll be it'll be good. But that's like the phase 2 thing, I guess. But yeah, primarily improvement in
And
the
by phase
calculation
2, you
process.
mean right away?
As soon as we feel comfortable doing it, there's some kinks to work out. Like there's a god peener that I got to figure out on SPXW. But yeah, it's better. You know, our methods for removing, you know, weird outliers is better. But at the same time, we're not getting very many of those, if any, with V2. It's just that we've also improved that process as well, because we did a top down, you know, knockdown, drag out war, made sure everything was super good. And I'm already starting working on 3.0 too, so that'll be coming out.
God damn it.
Once again, you
Can
know
we
what though,
get
it's good.
2.0 in the customer's hands before we fucking start on 3.0, Dork?
You're too late in that criticism. I'm already balls deep in it. But that's more architectural than anything else. But yeah. So long story short, better data over time. There might be some things that abruptly shift, but I mean I switched over dev one random day, and I backfilled some stuff to some random days. Then I told everyone in the Gammastrike crew, I was like, hey, go to SPX and try to figure out where 2.0 started, and no one knew where it started. So there shouldn't be much difference in your data when they first run. So there might be some changes though. You might see certain values like shifting by like $1 or two. But that's just, you know, there's one run to kind of gloss over all the data and give it a good once over before it gets pushed out to you guys.
Yeah,
So
they're gonna be far more accurate. The error handling's far better. You know, in the
it's
options
so
market,
good.
you have so many fucking edge cases, and building something
Shit.
robust enough to manage all of the different edge cases that can pop up between stocks that have dividends and, you know, stocks with illiquid options chains, stocks with sudden bursts of liquidity in their options chains. So all of that should
Sometimes you just don't even get a chain.
yeah, should drastically improve. You know, if you guys, I know some of you guys have been on the platform a little longer. If you remember things like Reddit earnings, and Reddit fucking popped like 100%, and like Gamma Max did not catch up with it at all. That kind of stuff is sorted out now. So it should be a lot better.
Yeah, it's quicker. It's just great. I mean, really
And
really nailing down the inputs was the key to getting everything to be more responsive.
the rest of the features, we have some more like filter features that we're going to be releasing to help you guys better identify stocks that you might want to trade. And so we're going to have a few more scanners that are going to be pretty low hanging fruit but really valuable. And then we've got a bunch of live data tools that once we have that live data stream up and running and ready for prod or in prod, we're going to start pushing out those features, and those should come a lot quicker. The live
Yeah, yeah.
data's been the big hang up, but it's just such a monumental task that it's going to take a little time.
Yeah, once those floodgates are open, it's going to open us up to do a lot of stuff too. And I mean, one of the new features we're going to do is we're also going to, do another UI revamp and get everything a little more cohesive, get the UX a little more dialed in. And yeah, I mean, we've also got one more super cool feature, but it's secret, so we can't tell you about it until it's done. So
Can you give me a hint? Because I don't know which one you're fucking talking about.
I'll DM you the feature.
All right.
This one.
We have like 90. It's like fucking...
We've so many features, dude. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. Gherkin and I sat down the other night and just fleshed everything out and got it all into just a big, giant, disgusting list. And there is so much stuff we want to do and so much we have planned. We've got a roadmap going. So
Yeah, we should have pretty much
the Genius Bar.
pretty much nonstop features rolling out for like the next 2 years at least.
Yeah, like 2 years. Yeah, I mean,
2 years.
do you think we get this all done in 2 years? You're insane.
No, I'm not. It's perfectly reasonable. Get cracking. Don't make me get the whip again, Dork.
And we're gonna get it out. GFresh also is working on a cool thing too. He's working on a vol analysis tool. So we're still kind of storyboarding it. He has an idea what he wants to present, and then it comes to us to try to figure out how to present it in a way that somebody who doesn't have a PhD in mechanical engineering and is a tenured professor at a prestigious university, can only understand. That's our next step.
Suck. Anyway.
Unsuck it, Gert.
You can't. It's too late.
I know, right? That's true.
I mean, I know what tool you're talking about. There's a very good chance it never sees the light of day. But
I know.
we have a bunch of other stuff too.
We got so much stuff. Like, don't worry, we have a lot in the pipeline. We just got to get
Can we
data really rock.
We have anything like low barrier that we can like sneak a hint at?
Like on the site?
Yeah.
Ooh.
What's not like a big crazy thing? You could DM me first.
I think we only have big crazy things on the site right now. Like in our we
were kind of talking a little bit. A bunch of people had been asking about the middle tier, like on stream and stuff.
Yeah.
So the middle tier is coming. It's not top priority right now, but it will be coming in, and kind of the way it's going to happen is middle tier features are going to be added to the top tier as we develop them. And then when they're complete, they will be like also added to the middle tier, and the middle tier will be opened up.
Well, first they go to the beta group, so the beta group can yell at us if they suck.
Yeah.
And then they go out to the top tier once the beta users are only slightly dissatisfied.
Kirk will tweet midday. It's a good day to sign up for Gammastrike. Valid.
The middle tier's got a lot of cool stuff. We've got a good plan for it. It's just a whole lot of new things we got to implement.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
architectural things.
yeah, there's a lot of architectural things and a lot of very, very complex and hard to build models. But I think, honestly, I think those will be easier once we have all the data that are like ready to go.
Eric's just trying to get me to build the puts or calls.
You guys can raise your hands and get on stage and ask me questions, person to person. I want the. Give me the contact. You guys spent 3 years being like, oh man, I want to meet Gherk someday, and you have the chance to talk to me live, not even taking advantage of it. All right, Mongo. I'll answer your question. For day trading, should we be looking at end of week OI? When you call out calls puts coming in, are you only looking at 0 DTE? Generally, yeah. I can look further. I can just add, I have tools to add expirations and look at more, but I mean Gamma is so heavily influenced by the 0 DTE that I don't really need to look at the other dates.
It's like 50% of the fucking gamma on the market.
Yeah, it's a huge, and the closer you get to the end of the day, the more gamma it is. So it's
insane.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty it's pretty
billions of dollars.
you pretty much only need the 0 DTE most of the time. It's so much more volume and everything than all the other. I mean, occasionally you'll get really big trades that might be influential that are further dated. So I mean, every night I always look at 0 DT and I look at all expirations and I look at delta into end of week. I cover kind of 3 time series in the nightly write-ups. Because we are, I am looking around at the other levels where things, where there's the potential for things to go that are further away from spot, especially right now, because fucking where spot is anywhere within a 5% range. So, nope, Moped's got a question. At what point does the dam break? Oh god, people are bringing up the old liquidity DD. That thing was a fucking masterpiece.
It was.
That's the best DD anybody ever wrote on GameStop. And I made up my own
market.
Yeah, I made up my own law too.
Well, those were some fun times. I had fun looking into all that stuff.
It was a blast. But I'm so glad it's over. I never want to go anywhere near GME again.
Me too.
Hey, what's up, guys? I didn't realize I was.
What's up, Moped?
So.
Wait, hold on. Before you start asking us questions, do you have DoorDash on the way or not?
No.
Okay.
I'm too cheap for that. Unless Gammastrike pays off. I mean, I made some money this week. If I make some money next week, maybe some DoorDash. We'll see.
Oh, fuck. All right.
Glad to hear you're graduating from pork chops and applesauce.
No, I have an Instant Pot. I just throw stuff in there and it comes out good. It doesn't look sad.
Oh. I just throw it on a pan.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, we've all. That was the appropriate amount of disappointment. Well played.
Ouch.
Jork's getting fucking rolled by the viewers now.
I'm more roasted than my pork chops.
Constructive critique. The actual question I have is, okay, so the past week or so, we've had moves that have exceeded the implied move in Gammastrike.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, any sort of way to sort of compensate for that during the intraday trade? Today was we went beyond the expected move and we just kept dumping more and more. Is there any way to sort of kind of adjust for that? Is it just looking at the delta, what's the repositioning happening with how would you suggest we sort of go through it intraday?
I mean, I was kind of talking about the drop earlier today like kind of given updates on it the whole way through. And it was, I mean, it was a pretty obvious one. Like Delta was just exploding out of the money. Gamma was picking up to the downside. And then like every like bounce back and retest at like prior Delta levels got rejected hard as fuck and just kept going down. So I mean, there was a pretty obvious opportunity to short on the breakdown at the flip. It probably would have been hard to stay short through the bounce back to 5,300, but you could have if you shorted again on the next leg down, like back here at like 5,280. I mean that's really when that delta like picked up big time to the downside, and you could see that coming in. I mean, you could see the huge bumps and like downside IV. You could see the gamma coming in on the exposure levels. Like the negative gamma, and you could see the big swell in delta to the downside as we were moving down. So I mean, it would have been hard to say where the bottom was because there were puts still being bought out of the money when we finally bottomed. So there's definitely a possibility that you would have been caught in the bounce and like gotten stopped out. But I think it was pretty easy to follow it all the way down. Like it barely bounced back. There was a good, fucking $180 of range where, it never bounced more than like 10-15 bucks.
Yeah, I think I missed that one. I had a put debit spread. I think it was like 20 wide, and it stopped up for very very small profit. One of those bounces before that big dump, and reading the pickle spread picks overnight, it seemed like bulls were really going to try to sort of rescue this, especially given the massive pumps they did yesterday. It's like, okay, they can just pump the fuck out of future, but don't they do it again? And I just kept thinking, okay, they got this far the other day. They're not going to let this all go, but then they did.
Yeah, so one of the things there that I mentioned in Pickles Picks was that the dollar was crushing after the CPI report, and that's really bad. Like we've talked about this a lot, like from a macro sense, that like a lot of the dollar leverage is really tied into the carry trade, especially treasuries also. And so if the dollar is dumping, the spread between dollar and yen is narrowing, right? So dollar down, yen up, and that tightens the spread and squeezes those margin levels, right? And everything's so highly leveraged that even really small amounts kind of over the break point where that leverage exists puts a lot of pressure on those funds to just start, dumping risk assets and trying to reduce their leverage. And I think really that's what we saw today. I think bulls are, at open really really prepared to like try to push the upside move. And but also we opened kind of low. We did have we had like a 2% drop already in pre-market following CPI. So things weren't going great into open, and then we lost the JPM puts at 53.10. And then I don't think we ever went back above them for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that was when I stopped out. Was we went a little bit above it. I think it was like 15%. It wasn't super much.
Yeah, we tapped like 12 or 11, I think, like a couple times, but immediately like slammed right back below them. Those have a shitload of delta on them right now, and there's.
And I've been.
Hmm.
Oh, go. No, you go.
Oh yeah, and there's still a lot of time to expiry. As they get closer to expiry, they'll become a little bit more permeable. But right now they're like a brick fucking wall. It's really really hard for bulls to pump past them. And then you're dealing with everybody being really skittish because the options pricing, right? And so you're not going to get you're not going to get like the kind of concentrated effort that you need to break above them during the intraday because, you know, once you start rejecting, you start getting that sell off. Delta and gamma are so negative that the market maker is selling into it. And then all the bulls just kind of start capitulating, and they capitulate really fast. And then also, you know, because the MM is selling into the downticks so heavily, not only are they selling into the downtick, but I think also at certain points today they're selling on the flat tape as well. Um, and so because of charm, and so you have really aggressive bears coming in at like every major resistance to the upside, and they just come in and they just buy a shitload of puts at spot as those calls pull back, and that adds even more weight to the downside move. And so that's why we're getting these like $30 rejections over and over again. The bulls were trying as hard as they could, but like, and they were really, really trying to push 5,300. And I mean, yeah, it just collapsed every time. We couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was
Oh, man.
interesting. Failing 5,300 was the point where I like earlier today, with the first time we started like falling through 5,300 for real. I just bought a put because like it was like, all right. I mean, if they can't even hold this level, like I'm thinking we're in for some more downsies.
And I guess I think
That's a
at
huge
least for
level.
me, you need to work on the interpretation because I'm thinking, okay, if they push it that far back up to 5,300, there's no way they're going to let it go. They're going to keep going for that. And even though, you know, we're negative delta and there's, you know, much bigger swings than, the, you know, the downticks are, they're sold into, I just keep thinking, okay, they push that far, they're not going to give it up because obviously they were able to do it yesterday and they didn't today.
Well,
So
you have to
it's
remember
what counts that.
we've experienced a regime shift. I mean, like fundamentally, this isn't. We're no longer in the world where short vol just jerry jacks you around and pretty much has full control over what's going on. I mean, look at the volume on SPY intraday. I mean, we're talking like at the bottom of the drop, that candle in the 30-minute was 15 million volume. Like so pushing the price up with this much like depth in the market is really difficult.
Not only that, you have a lot of other like external factors that are weighing on equity markets right now. You have massive
Yes.
liquidity disruptions in bonds and in volatility products. And so, you know, our bottoms are more our bottoms right now are more that vol is so overextended to the upside that market makers are trying to claw back becoming overexposed. So you know, the actual market makers like at this point stepping in and trying to turn that around before you know they have to capitulate and like shift all of their hedges because you know if market maker exposure to Vana or speed were to fall negative, they've got to rebalance like their entire strategy, and they have to shift to like going long gamma to the like they have to go like long put gamma, which means they have to buy like they have to start buying 0 DTE puts to hedge the upside and volatility. And if you want to see the market really rocky down, that's how you get a circuit breaker.
I mean, we started getting pretty close to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
at the bottom today.
I think
I was
that
looking at it, I was like, is this about to explode?
yeah, yeah. We were only like really like $40 or $50 off of a circuit breaker.
Can you
Yeah.
explain mechanically what happened yesterday? Like they went up like what was it, like 6%.
They bought a
And
fuck ton of Delta ODS all at once,
yeah, yeah.
like
I've been
hundreds of
watching it.
thousands of contracts in a very short period of time.
Right.
So basically the ask gets slapped so hard that they just and it's persistent, right? So like it's just a massive just upbidding of the ask, and
It's the mother of all market orders.
yeah, and
It's trying to get filled.
yeah,
You know?
essentially,
They're trying to fill it.
and it's moving so fast that it just creates a gap.
Was it basically okay? This is obviously all news driven and politics driven. It was just okay. We feel very confident in this action, so we're just gonna just pump everything we can into futures at this moment, and we're not gonna get burned. Is that sort of what happened?
We
Mechanically,
blew out all the short calls. Like there were
Basically,
short
yeah.
calls all over the place, and they all just got instantly exploded.
It's
and
like-
all their delta
It,
went to 1.
it's basically like all the cover bid for 8% to the upside hit the tape at once.
Did they like instantly like capitulate, or is it just that the hedging with all that delta being pumped in? I'm just trying to better understand like how to use Gammastrike to sort of maybe react in the moment to that.
To that you
I mean,
can't.
there's no, dude. What's Gammastrike gonna do when the market moves 10% in fucking an hour?
It
dude?
wasn't even
That's
an hour. It
insane.
was like 3 candles.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like you could try to look for like further out stuff on like the monthly chain and all that, but like it's moving so fast and so quickly that like it something like that just instantly makes all the positioning completely irrelevant on the 0DTE chain until you get a little bit of trading there for a bit. So once it settles out, you might be able to glean some information about where new positioning's rolling in, but like that move was just so huge, so unbelievably large.
I will say
massive.
something about that move, and I went to lunch, right? So I opened some longs on the break of 50-50 to the upside. I opened some long positions. I was like long, like I think it was like 2 ES contracts and a few SPY, and I had like some of my straddle calls still, and I was like, oh, this looks bullish. And it did. There was actually like a little pre-pump, like 10, 15 minutes before like the massive swing up. And I wasn't banking on it getting to 5,400. I was targeting like 51, 5150. But when I came back from lunch, I was very pleasantly surprised. I did get stopped out of like half of my SPY puts at some point before it like rocketed, but I was in the rest of the stuff, and so that was very nice. But yeah, there was some indication that things were turning bullish, and on Gammastrike,
That's where. Oh yeah,
we'd
no,
moved.
I closed a put on that candle. Yeah, because I saw like some what looked like calls rolling in and puts being sold. I was like, oh, this is starting to look bullish. I'm gonna close this put.
Yeah,
and then,
upside
like,
upside.
Not even 10 minutes later.
Upside delta was picking up a bit. There was like some out of the money call buying going on. We'd pushed up above like the gamma flip. So things were like already starting to get a little bit bullish before we went up 8.5%. And
That
so
was all the insider traders.
if you were long the potential breakout to the upside, then that was already ongoing, then you would have just caught the rest.
So were you guys always watching the live GSX part of Gammastrike?
Yeah, I alternate between the two of them.
IV.
Usually on stream, I have this open in like a separate window, and I'll have this one open in the window that I'm streaming. And sometimes I'll alternate it so I can show people things on it, but I'm usually watching both.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe some of us need to like adjust the way we watch. Normally, I just keep open that one, the live data, and every now and then maybe I'll check in on live GSX just to see, okay, is there more position coming in, something to keep an eye on. But is it better to have both of them sort of just simultaneously like side by side, or do you just switch between as it makes sense?
I think it's
just
really
prefer
good to
to.
have them side by side. I do agree with Doric. Looking at IV is a big help. But But also just like if you can't do that, I would check the GXS page anytime you hit like a major level. So like if you hit like 5300 or 5200 or like 5250, right? Like in our end of day trading, like I would go take a peek at it at those moments, and just keep an eye on like what's, because these are going to move around in real time, so you can kind of see how positioning is coming in at those major tests. If you get a big like upside test and gamma to the downside just drops off the chain, that's probably a pretty decent indication that there's gonna be a pullback of some sort. And then if like delta to the downside on that test goes negative, it might be an indication that puts are rolling in, and you're gonna get an even bigger rejection. You can also look at delta at the strike that just got tested and see if you mouse over it and see if that's dropping down. Those are all pretty good ways of trying to work that into your like into your, yeah, try to like squeeze this chart into your workflow. I mean, primarily I'm going to be looking at this one. I'm pretty good at, identifying levels based just off of like gamma exposure, and then using like the volume and IV. I don't really have a problem doing that, but it definitely gives you like a clearer view of some of those things if you switch over to this. Also, you can identify strikes that are really important for breakouts here, like for speed and Vana. Breaking 5300 to the upside would have been really important. Breaking 5225 to the downside, really important, right? So this can give you an idea of like what levels to watch for like a larger breakout. You're gonna trade, between your major, like your largest piles of delta. But occasionally you'll move past those piles of delta, and like things like Vana and speed can be really important if that happens.
Yep.
No, the 8% upswing was yesterday, so I can't really show it today. Unfortunately, and we don't store like the historic 0 DTE data, but I mean you could go look at the stream yesterday and you can see what I was talking about. If you go to whatever time it happened at, it was like fucking when did it start? It was like 1 o'clock.
Gotcha. I see there's someone who's got their hand up. I guess the last thing I'm saying is having those sort of like ghost candles, or showing what the value or from 5 minutes ago or whatever, to more visually see that change.
Yeah.
Positioning like up in the gamma. I think that could help.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do some kind of like rolling ghost candle that's like rolling on like like a 15-minute window or something like that, so you can see the change over time. But what happened in the past isn't necessarily relevant to what's going on at spot. I think it's actually useless. I've heard a bunch of arguments for it, but I haven't heard one that's convinced me that it's really something that needs to take up space. I know everyone likes to like go back and they're like, oh, I wonder what happened earlier, but it actually doesn't matter. What matters is what positioning is now, which is what Gammastrike tells you. Like being able to look back in the past, you're just confirming your own bias with old data. It's like wishing that you held an option that went 10x when you sold it at 2x. It doesn't do anything.
Every day. So yeah, don't do it if it doesn't benefit.
We probably will anyway, just because it makes people feel more comfortable. But yeah, I really don't see a lot of value in it.
Yeah, I don't care about being comfortable. I just want to be profitable. I want to know puts or calls, and I just want to get better data for that.
For sure, man. All right, well, thanks for coming out, Moped. Always appreciated, dude.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate the insights and the personalized walk through this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, have a good one.
You too, man. We
Thanks,
we have
bud.
a question over on the YouTube that I'm gonna answer. Just 1 second. People with their hands up. Brave Vacation says top middle tier. Can you give me the summary of what they're for? What they are? Yeah, actually. So right now we have two tiers. We have a tier that's really designed for portfolio management. Um, and this is just overnight data. Um, Now you can use this to some degree for swing trading, but it's missing a bunch of tools that I want to add for that. But basically, this is just end of day updates, and this tier is supposed to be catered towards people who own a lot of stock, and they want to monitor the performance of that stock and the performance of that stock's options markets or options market, right? And so they want to look in every day or every few days, and they want to get an assessment of what the options market looks like on the stocks they own. This is really good for people who are like selling theta. Um, and this is like longer term, like 30 to 45 day windows. And this is really good for people who are, using like CSP and cover call strategies, because they can glean a lot of information about where the options market is pricing the stock they own, how the options market is performing relative to where the price of the stock they own is, and this can give you a lot of insights into where to sell covered calls, when to sell puts, when to stay away from short vol type positions, and even where to like pick up protective puts, because volatility is picking up, and things, or volatility is falling on equities, and things might be moving to the downside. And then the second tier we have right now is live data, and this is it has all the features of the first tier, but it also caters to people who trade the intraday. And this could be useful for this is especially useful for people trading zero DTEs, trading weeklies. We'll be adding individual tickers pretty soon to live data, so we're gonna have not only SPX, but we're also gonna have like QQQ. We're gonna have SPY, and we're probably gonna have like
Tootsie Roll.
we're not gonna have Tootsie Roll, but we're probably gonna have like GME, the Mag 7, things with really active options markets, that are gonna be interesting to trade weeklies on. These won't be as active on the live data for the individual tickers. These will be, because they all have zero DTs, IWM. But we're gonna also have some individual equities in there, and I can actually show you guys that. I have a little I could do a little sneak peek there. What the fuck is the hold on 1 second. I gotta I'll bring back the screen share. Yeah, so we can look at kind of what that's gonna look like. We're gonna have. Oh, these are already updating for tomorrow, huh? Yeah, we're gonna have like QQQ, SPY, IWM, Tesla, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, GME. We'll probably add a few more as time goes on. But you're gonna have a pretty good idea of the intraday levels, the flips, All the like pertinent information on these as well. This is the overnight session, and this one doesn't save like a snapshot, but you know you can see some of the intraday volume, some of the like GME's IVs really skewed to the upside right now, which is kind of interesting. And you know these will all be looking at like weekly contracts, and then the things that have zero DTEs will you know be looking at the zero DTE contract, but that's still very very much in development right now. But those will be added, and then you know this, and then we have you know some scanner features that'll be there's some that are available in both tiers, and this you know help you identify individual equities. You're gonna have you know like G-scan, which kind of tries to take like a technical look at options markets and give you an idea of how positioning is building or shifting around on them. That's in the top tier. Options macro stuff is in the top tier right now. You know, you can filter by individual Greek levels, so the different Greek neutrals you can find, you know, at, below, or above, and kind of sort and find stocks that are in positive gamma environments or negative gamma environments, positive delta, negative delta. You can find stocks where, you know, Vega exposure is shifted really high or really low. You can find stocks that are at gamma max or below gamma max. And you can kind of filter all through those and you know pick out individual equities based on you know whatever kind of trading you want to do. And then we also have like exposure scanner where you can kind of filter all the equities that we follow based on the amount of change in the total delta and gamma on their options chain. So you can get an idea of total market maker exposure and how it's shifted. So, you know, if you wanted to find like stocks that are looking a little bit more bullish over the last day, you might want to look at these things where they've picked up, you know, a lot of delta. And you can kind of go out and look at that. And, you know, these chains that have picked up a lot of delta tend to, that tends to be, you know, like kind of bullish. So not this one because it has literally 2 open options on it, but so you know you always want to go take a look at the individual stock and make sure it's not like actually just a piece of shit. Because some stocks just are, but like PSX,
Yeah, you might get like a change from like, you know, $1 in delta to $1,000 in delta, right? Looks like a huge change, but in notional terms, it is piddly.
yeah, this is actually kind of interesting. This went from negative 281 million total delta to 777 million. That's a big fat fucking jump for an equity. And also gamma turned up to the upside. Yeah, this one might be kind of interesting. Maybe keep an eye on PSX over the next couple of days, see if it does something crazy.
I don't know.
But
There's a non-zero amount of people in here that are going to buy options based on just that.
yeah, you think so? That's
Just you looking at it and going, huh?
just me, literally just making one noise. How much of the how much of the pickle jar's strategy is just buying calls and puts based on me going,
I think Carl's one of those
Don't
people.
you know what? Don't answer that. I don't want to know. Yeah, and so and that's you know that tier is really catered to day traders. What we are building is we're going to be building out a middle tier that's really focused on swing trading and analysis. And so you know we're going to be building a lot of fundamental data. We're going to be putting in a lot of fundamental data. We're going to be looking into you know like ownership.
We got
various
dude.
various
I
like
list up.
various performance ratios. We're going to be bringing in their fundamental data, their earnings, their projected earnings. We're going to be building tools to help analyze that kind of stuff, and then we're also going to have you know some more scanners and stuff that help you identify those stocks that maybe you want to go look at. And that, you know that tier is going to be very heavily catered towards you know swing traders and the analyst side of things. And you know by building out our tiers this way, we really wanted to create a thing where you know everybody would have a tier, like they wouldn't feel bad about not having like the top tier and paying the most. They would get the tier that was focused and designed for their trading style, for their portfolio management. And so, without feeling like that pressure to just buy the best one. And while the best one will include everything, you don't need live data on SPX if you don't day trade. So that's just the truth. And so yeah, we really wanted to kind of handcraft each of the tiers to be really, really meaningful and useful for people who were in that particular position with their investments. Anyway,
Yep.
hands up. We got Maeve coming up.
Woohoo.
So I hope that answers your question, Brave.
Let me just say, Maeve, I'm disappointed in the market's movement yesterday. It was too bad it didn't do what we wanted it to do. We all had high hopes that day and that morning, only for them to be dashed. You're cutting in and out.
Okay, let me switch to the different one. 1 second. I'm gonna leave
Oh,
and
wait,
come
now you're
back.
coming in.
Oh, am I coming in now?
Yeah, maybe it was just the audio processing. Sometimes these software platforms tend to remove audio they don't mean to.
Ooh, I want to
Yeah,
look
I'm
at.
on my tablet, so it's a little. If it's not as good as my phone, let me know and I'll switch.
Can we move the options macro up one so it's not like in the middle of the scanners?
No.
Put it in DevOps right now. I hate.
I will make a work.
I hate that so much.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to disappoint.
You're fine.
But you didn't design this. I did.
I think we're more talking about the obligation to reveal one's cans if the market went below some ridiculously low number that would have been insane.
Dork, stop making bets to show people your penis.
Sorry, I can't help it. I'm out of money. What else am I going to bet?
All right, fair.
I am no longer out of money, so this was purely celebratory. But yeah, the definitive Gherk indicator is multiple hms in a row. That's when you know dump whatever you have because it's not going to go anywhere. Yep, like at least three in a row means he doesn't even know. So just get the fuck out.
I like this.
So it might not actually be that inaccurate.
I mean, it's not like one of our best indicators is just having watched it for a number of years. And it's like, oh, he doesn't know. If Gherk doesn't know, I better get the fuck out before I wreck myself.
Guys, he's reached 5 cumulative hms.
Yeah, shit's going bad. It's not gonna work.
What about when I say, "Oh fuck"?
Oh, then I get horny.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I don't because I know I can't afford whatever he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, something's gonna happen. I could get a call. I could. Maybe we're all going to be rich. That gets very exciting. But my question was about the thing you accused Carl of, also with speculative gains. So that God candle with Trump, I basically saved my entire portfolio with that candle on a ridiculous out of the money call.
Nothing was actually out of the money on that.
No.
Nope.
If it was a call, it ended up in the money that day.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it was actually sickening. It was fucking sickening. I mean, when I watched that call for the rest of the day, it literally settled like $173 for that contract.
Damn.
And I bought it for $200 or well, $2.
Yeah.
But of course, I didn't get all that money because why would I get all that money? I kind of, and again, this is to the high volatility environment, but I saw the bid just start going crazy, but it was hugely gappy. It was like 5, 20, 10, 50. And then it would kind of seesaw back and forth. So I was like, is this a pre-crash ejaculation thing going on here? So I just got out as quickly as possible, with like $2,500 in profit. But then, of course, it kept going. So it seems to be what you're saying from the Gammastrike stuff that I could have even seen on stream potentially, that there was already an uptrend and I think you said it was something to do with the delta and gamma flip. Would there have been any way for me to basically confirm that that was actually a thing and not a fluke? Just from the
I
information
mean,
I had.
so anticipating. I mean, so for me, what I did at that point, I did not catch the move up, unfortunately, because I was out of settled cash. But I did have a put open right around the point where there was that first like peener. Right when it
Mhm.
was starting, I noticed that IV on the calls was elevated and IV on the puts was not as elevated. And so I went, this looks like it's going to be a bull trend. So I closed my put. Right. I mean, you could have identified the bullishness and bought a call, and then, then you'd have a call. But like, I mean, for a move that large, like, there's nothing that's going to tell you, I think we've,
Not
harped on it enough. Nothing's going to tell you something huge is coming unless it's already happening. Right.
No, it's not so much to tell that I should have had one because I already had one open, and that's kind of being my default strategy right now is just to get something really out of the money in case of insanity, which we've had a lot of. But to know that it wasn't just a fluke and to hold on to it longer because I keep cutting well short of max profitability, which obviously nobody's ever going to probably get unless they get really lucky. But I'm not getting the profitability I could be getting. Um, and I did the same sort of thing this afternoon when somebody said Trump he dumped everything. I'm like, oh God, is this something new? And everybody's like, oh, that's from yesterday. But I just like triggered and got rid of a long dated put because I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but it might be something, and I don't want to get burned. So,
Well,
um,
it sounds like you just you hit the eject button on that position. I mean, that just comes down to like that just comes down to your trading strategy, right? I mean, if that's the strategy, then that's the strategy. But like when the market went up, if it is in this volatility, even in this volatility, if the market moves up or down more than like 1.5%, I mean, odds are it's going to have a lot of momentum because what you're witnessing is a huge shift in not only Delta but Vega. So, you have these market makers who have to price up these contracts and hedge them. And yeah, it's just so I don't know where you hit the eject button or anything about your strategy. I mean, but
well,
when you
just like,
move up,
do you think in this kind of like very crashy, surgy, falling kind of environment, that big moves like that could presage a crash, or is it? Can I trust it for one or two candles?
so your question is, can I tell if I'm about to get rug pulled?
Yeah,
Um, so
because I thought it might be a
kinda.
fluke with it going that wide. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, this is like a blip. I'm just gonna quick scalp the money I already lost and get out with my ass.
The
Well,
there
so
was
if things are moving up a bunch, like, or if there's a move and you're profitable, I guess is kind of the more general sense of things, and you're basically trying to figure out, are we going to get a continuation? Like, I don't know if this huge move is a great example of that because there's a lot of moves every day where you could potentially be in a position that is green and you are trying to figure out, am I about to get rugged? Which is every time I'm green in an option, that's all I'm thinking about is, am I about to get rugged? Like, so I get that. And what I'll be looking at is the gamma by strike primarily, and I'll be seeing, okay, is there a lot of support from the options market at this current price? How, if not, which direction is the nearest support? And which one do I want? How far away is it? Like,
And now
that stuff
explain,
affects my positioning and my stops.
I'm gonna point something
explain
out about yesterday's run that was kind of important. Real quick to hopefully clarify some of this. Um, you know, we first got the bounce at like 49.87 ES, right? And that was the bounce that took us above 5,000, which was already a support level. We tested 50 and rejected, but then we kept finding support back at 5K. Right, we found support back at 5K twice. And so on this leg up, this is like where I went long before I like left for lunch. Um, because we'd already double bottomed off of 5,000, and it was pretty clear that we had some momentum and we were gonna push up. I think I bought a little bit more here. Now, I did get stopped out of some of my spy puts because of the like 69 bip. This is like almost 100 bip downside candle before this rocketed. Um, but you know, we were above like gamma flip here, right? And this is where like I think positions preloaded prior to that run up. Was that
Nancy Pelosi right
was
there.
this massive fucking spike of volume that came out of nowhere on the upside move? That was a pretty good indication that this was gonna happen. And
Okay, that does really help.
if you go back and watch the stream, you can see the like you can see like like not only does that's when like what Dork noticed happened. That's when the volatility on the call side really started to pick up. But it's also it was also when like Delta started to move like further yeah, like further away from spot. Like the Delta flip pushed up there pretty significantly. And like I wasn't really looking at the Delta flip. I was just looking at like out of the money Delta. But I was really confident that we were gonna push up like through 5100. I didn't expect this shit, obviously. No one could have expected the range that we got. But it looked really clear that we were gonna like push into this like 5150, 5100 range. And so that's why I was going long through this shit back here.
Okay, that makes sense. And then just they explained it like I'm 5 part. I get that, gamma is the rate of change in the delta. But if I'm looking at Gammastrike, this is one of the reasons why I haven't joined yet, other than being poor. But now that I have lots of money, I can join. But I'm wondering how useful it will be to me, because if I'm looking at all these charts, but great, but what do they mean, kind of thing. So if Dork, you said that there was like a lot of gamma support. What starts increasing the gamma all of a sudden?
The price.
On the market.
Yeah.
Just the price. Okay.
Well,
yeah,
moneyness.
I mean, so to give you the ELI 5.1, read the docs too. So delta, right, kind of defines a probability range. You can imagine, right? So you've got a call, if it's like 600% in the money, it's pretty much guaranteed to close in the money. Delta is going to be at 1, right? If it's 6,000% out of the money, its delta is going to be next to 0, right? And so you have this like S curve that this sort of where it crosses 0.5 right at the money, usually, and then tails off to 1. Gamma is the steepness of that S curve, and so you end up with like a bell curve sort of shape. But delta is a function of both implied volatility and price and a few other things, but those are the two biggest ones: is implied volatility and price, and I guess time to expiry too can flatten out the delta curve. So when the price moves a lot, whether or not like if nothing else changes and price goes up a ton, you're going to end up with a lot of puts whose probability of closing in the money went down a bunch, and a bunch of calls whose probability of closing in the money went up a bunch. And so that right there is the change in delta, or the gamma, right? And because delta increased so much, you just end up with this massive long position on the market maker. And anything that is at the money too, like a lot of far out of the money contracts are highly leveraged. And so now those contracts that were far out of the money, if they're at the money, they have way more delta than they just did, right? And the delta on those contracts is going to be fluctuating rapidly because their IV is also elevated.
Okay, and that'll spike the gamma then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
additionally.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then the market maker is going to be very actively hedging those contracts to try to get back to where everything's netted out again on their book, which is,
Okay.
obviously a huge challenge with such a huge move. But in more normal periods, you tend to get these increases in gamma exposure and rapid decreases in gamma exposure, and you can kind of see them on the Greeks by Strike page too. The live Greeks by Strike, and I mean even regular Greeks by Strike. But in the case of live trading, yeah, the live Greeks by Strike shows you the gamma of every single contract, but it's the net gamma exposure, right? So that's that's not just like the gamma curve, obviously. But you'll see a lot of contracts that are super far out of the money, like, pick up in gamma in those moves and stuff like that. And that's not like those bars don't indicate, oh, if we move here, that's how much gamma there is. No, those bars indicate this is how much gamma is on that strike right the fuck now. And if the stock moved $1, this is how much their delta hedge is going to change, right? In the naive approach. So that's what gamma tells you. When you look at a strike, you're basically asking yourself, how much is the delta hedge on this contract going to change if the stock moves up or down by $1?
Okay. So
Yeah.
essentially, assuming I had Gammastrike and I was looking at these charts, I think that would also probably help me decide whether or not to keep certain of my out of the money hedges on either side, because what I've been basically doing the last week or so is just getting, something 200 or 300 out of the money on either side and then just seeing which one wins. But I've been really hesitant to close the losing side in case of insanity. But then I've also been giving up a bit of my gains doing that, which I suppose is a strategy. But if I saw, for example, like, I don't know here, like if I had a 5100, it's off the chart here, but I could see that oh no, I'm sorry, looking at the wrong chart now. Too many of them.
George bred down underbite would like you to know that you're pronouncing knave wrong.
It's naive, just like me. There's a million ways to
I know.
pronounce it. I just say naive.
But yeah, like, so let's say I had a 5170. That doesn't have very much gamma, but if I'd had a 5200, I could see that, that would be worth keeping, but you'd probably want to cut one at 5170 because it's probably not going to get there. Would that be a good assumption?
Wait, say that again. Sorry, I was sending a tweet.
Okay, sorry. The gamma, if I was trying to decide whether or not to cut, say, my out of the money put, and I had, say, this 5170 strike on the gamma chart, and then so I could basically see that it didn't have very much gamma, and really I'd want the 5200 if anything crazy was going to happen anyway, but that I could probably just cut that and assume it's not going to go there. Would that be any kind of safe assumption at this?
I mean, well, you're talking about basically buying crash and short squeeze insurance during extremely high market volatility as a trading strategy.
Yeah.
You obviously should be played very differently from normal stuff, but
Yeah.
when your stuff's that far out of the money, I mean, like, even with, like, straddles and strangles, I'm sure Gherkin can point to that stuff more, but like on some level, that contract you kind of should be okay with it dying, right? Like if your other side is covered, right, that's what you want to do, and then you just sit on that contract and wait for an exit. It's not really about like, oh, will this close in the money? It's, oh, am I getting the best price for this contract in order to unwind my position?
Yeah. Well, that's basically what I've been doing. But I keep leaving the one open. Well, maybe it'll get back to what I paid for it. But then I mostly end up exiting when it's worth like $100 or something like that, like just not very much. So basically I've just been letting one side die. So I guess, that's been my strategy.
I mean, you
but
could. I mean, if you're net positive too, you could always just close out the entire position.
I think Nimrod thinks the strikes on the x-axis are showing how much gamma those options have, but that's not really the case. Oh, yeah, those aren't. Yeah, those aren't showing you how much gamma those have. Those are showing you how much
Those are just
exposure
strikes.
the market maker
Yeah.
has to gamma. If you want to see how much gamma the option has, you have to look here on this green line.
Oh, okay.
That'll tell you the
Okay.
gamma at each of those strikes. But I mean, gamma is relative to moneyness. So if you're playing far out of the money options, right, you're trying to get the discount by playing the tails. Really what you're looking for is moneyness to move in the direction of your option, right? Well, you want the, I guess technically, you want the option to be closer to zero moneyness, or 1-0 rather, than it is when you buy it. And that will increase the gamma of that option, and then the price. So
I'm tilting my head to the side like a puppy dog. So
yes, I mean, you're basically playing the shift and spot towards the option, but you're not really expecting the option to go in the money.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't been expecting it to go.
So you're
necessarily in the money.
trying to scalp an increase in the extrinsic value on the option, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's in this environment, it's a very viable strategy because everything's so sensitive to moves in spot. In a less volatile environment, it becomes a less reliable strategy.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. I mean, like the amount of gamma you have on the contracts is, it's just relative to its distance from spot. Generally, the closer to spot you are, the more gamma you'll have on your contracts. But once it's in the money, that's So,
Okay.
just I mean, you just need to think about those that way. I mean, sometimes they'll go with the money, which is awesome. It's very rarely.
Yeah, my call hedge on that crazy day went like $150 in the money and closed there, and it was insanity. But I sadly sold it, like I said, after that first little blip. But anyway, thanks a lot. That helps.
No problem.
Right on. Yeah, I get I see what's going on. And another way you can play this stuff, that I found actually to be pretty good for trading trends is, especially for smaller ports, is actually playing further dated, further out of the money SPY options and just playing the Vega on those. So that first failure of 5,300 today, I bought a 500 put on SPY for, I think it was May, and I just held on to it. And even when we were retesting 5,300, I was still up on the contract because the IV on the puts was elevated.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to get that type of exposure without having to get so much exposure to theta decay on the 0 DTE side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
I
contracts tend to be a lot better in the early half of the day than the latter half.
With 0 DTs?
No, like the trying to play the tails on the
Yeah.
range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They perform a lot better when they have a little bit of theta.
Yeah, they're a lot less stressful too because these
Yeah, they also hold their gains better. They don't just like wipe out on a one. Like a lot of the times, the biggest problem with scalping gamma manually is that like the value of the contract will increase during the trend, but like you'll get one red tick at the top of the trend and it wipes out all the gains on the contract entirely. Even though the price didn't go down because you're still so far out of the money that it was only priced up due to the shift in moneyness. And then once that shift in moneyness reverses, the options, like the market maker immediately prices them back down again.
Yeah.
Well, here I
and
have.
just-
I'm gonna post an image to the chat really quick too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this image, don't pay attention to the letters or anything. Just pay attention to the curves, right? Red is your 0 DTE, right? In terms of how delta changes and stuff. And green is like that SPY May contract that is far out of the money. You're still exposed to changes in delta, that far out versus in the 0 DTE side, you're on that red curve and you're way out on the sides. Your change in delta is going to be small. So you're not going to get, exposure to those medium-sized short-term moves. You're not going to get the gains that you may be expecting from them, even with the extra little bit of theta at the beginning of the day. You're not going to see the same level of price improvement on those moves that kind of are gradual and not that huge, but kind of big. Where like if you were playing at the money 0 DTs, you would have made money. You're not going to make money on those like that far out of the money with that little amount of time. So I don't know what blue is, dude. Don't ask me that.
Blue's one standard deviation.
You're blue.
Anyway,
No, it's yeah. So
Let's
that's just trying to
think
help you conceptually with like kind of the mathy stuff. But that's how I'm trying to play this.
yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I had one of those too, and it did really hold its value throughout the day. It had more obviously when it was dumping like crazy, but even when it was back to basically where we closed, it was still about 30% up.
Yeah. No, they're great.
Could you explain green gamma and how to trade it? That's just the gamma at each strike. You're not gonna, I mean, during the intraday, you're not gonna have like spikes like that. It's just gonna be like a curve like that.
Yeah.
And
At the end of the day, it looks
yeah,
nuts.
that's just because it's the end of, yeah, you have like, you
Fell apart.
have color just blowing out all the gamma on the strikes. But like during the trading day, it's just gonna look like this. It's just gonna be a curve, and spot is gonna be in the middle of that.
I posted the picture of it up in the chat.
You might see some like
when I
small
posted it.
deviations in it. Like you might see it like shift or get like weird like that at the peak. But like and yeah, there's some information to be gleaned from those moves. But I mean, you can also just glean that same thing from IV.
Okay. Well, and thanks, Mago Man, for catching that. Yes, that is exactly what I thought, and it made a lot more sense once you caught that.
Thanks for coming up, Maeve.
Okay, thanks a lot.
No problem.
See you guys.
See ya.
Hope we helped. Nice. That was some good stuff. She always has good questions.
Today I bought a bunch of NVDS because VIX was so high. Is this a terrible idea in lieu of options? Probably.
it's just the first.
Which one is
sentence.
NVDS?
That's the 3x short Nvidia. You take.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's daily.
1.5x,
It's daily performance. So, if Nvidia doesn't move a lot, you get burned by beta decay.
Yeah, these leveraged ETFs and stuff. It's just like getting SPXL or SPXS, right? No matter what, you're giving money away by holding it. So.
Oh, we got Senior Mangoes trying to pop up here. About a similar put at a similar time. No, I mean, how do you know when to take profit? Because it's not going to get a lower low. I mean, major resistance and a bounce. You have stops, I hope. The stop should inform your take profit. Like, if you were short this whole fucking trip down, and you didn't have a stop at any point, I actually don't know what the fuck you're doing here.
Well, I was just wondering, Dirk.
What's up,
when are you
Mangoes?
guys gonna have? sorry, Gherk. I was just wondering when you guys are gonna have the data for ES and like futures on Gammastrike.
Ooh, that's gonna be a while. Yeah,
It's expensive.
not only is it expensive, it's a shitload of compliance and legal paperwork to
Oh yeah, too. Yeah.
to provide ES data. I would suggest that if you need ES data, that you get it elsewhere for now. We will add CME
No
at some
worries.
point. It's a goal, but it would be like our entire cost of current operations doubled.
Yeah, no. I still want to subscribe to mid tier when it gets released, so that's totally cool with me. I'm not too worried. I just was wondering.
For sure.
But I was also wondering when cause I wanted to enter a few futures trades today, but I made myself only do shares because I could just see that stops were just being taken all over the place. I think it had something to do with maybe the circuit breaker thing. Is the spread on micros just getting wider in this environment or something?
They just like the MMs are just I mean, the MMs are just like fucking over everybody they can on every candle. So what you get is you're getting like super. This is a really not a great time to trade futures because they're kind of illiquid, which allows like the whoever's making market at spot to like really just fucking drive the price around. So like every candle is just gonna have these like massive fucking wicks, right? And it's very hard. Like you have to have a lot of capital to sit in your contract and follow the trend because it's gonna be it's gonna be like this, and then you're gonna get like this little fucker, and then you'll get a move up, right? And then you're gonna get another fucking wick that and this just keeps happening. Basically, they're just collecting shitloads of money from everybody before they allow it to like actually break and move up. If you catch like a strong move, like futures is still fine. Like I caught the downside on NQ today a little bit. I think from like here. It might have been a little bit later. I think it might have been like here. I grabbed a short on NQ and just sat in it. But like, I mean, unless you're willing to sit in it or your account's big enough to withstand the drawdown of sitting in it, then it's like very dangerous. This is one of the reasons like futures are deceptive. They have really low margin requirements for like MES. But you need a lot of margin to stay in your position. Like imagine you were short, like yesterday. Imagine you tried to like short like 5,400 yesterday.
Well, yeah, Derek. Actually, I have a personal experience with that. Not like I mean I had like some hedges on the blown up. I didn't really care because I was on like a correlation with like owning stocks still, so I was actually really happy. But my one friend, I told him about futures because he was just getting smoked on like theta decay,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't want to buy long dated. Like he was just so stuck in not doing what he probably should do and just degenning it. But then I told him like, oh, you could just try futures, but like start small and like maybe like practice with just one Russell contract. And he went into like a short on that run up the other day.
Oh
And
fuck!
he put in a stop that didn't work, and his whole account pretty much blown up on just that.
Yep, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
that's where futures can fuck you in like environments like this, where volatility is really high and the returns aren't stable, and yeah, you can get a candle like that and blow up 50 grand in a minute, really easily. So yeah, it's a very, very dangerous environment for playing futures right now. You almost need to make sure that any order you place has a stop set. And that your account also has like a max intraday loss stop as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually such a good idea. I should set like a max. I should set that for my. Oh, that's such a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, because on that like Upwick, the only problem I had was that I had too many charts, I think, on my WeBull. So when we did have the whole like huge spike, 10%, my computer just crashed. So I couldn't do anything. So I was like I was short some Bitcoin futures or something, and that was a total blowout. That was like, oh god. But it was fine because I still was like, I don't know, it just took out profit that I had before, but it was fine. I just can't let that happen again.
Yeah,
I know that
you should
one of the
definitely
common.
set a max loss on your account, and then make sure you enter as part of your order. Make sure that you have a stop set.
Yeah, I will for sure. Cause yeah, like I learned even with the order confirmation. One time I was on the phone with my friend, like before I was going to dinner, and I just had my hand on the mouse, and I just hit a button, and I said, "Oh shit," because I saw that I was short one ES contract. Literally, like 10 minutes later, I'm just in it trying to get out, and I get like a huge green candle, and it was like boom down $60, and I was like, oh damn, now I really need to get out of this, and then it was down 100, and I was like, this is just crazy,
There's some
but
like I know some like old CTA guys and like floor traders that traded futures, and like usually like the rule of thumb is, depending on what candle you're trading, like if you're on like the 120 ticks, if you're trading like the 15 20 points. But like if you're 20 ticks or 20 points off on your entry, you're just wrong anyway. So it's good to have a stop like there, right? Like you want to be able to manage like a little bit of fluctuation in the spot price, but if you're 20 points wrong, you should probably be getting stopped out.
oh yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, no, for sure. I had just like it was like instead of going to my ladder order, it would only let me do it in the order entry. It was such a weird glitch that I was already just in the contract, and like I knew I kind of already had an idea of what it was going to do, so I let myself stay in it till I just got all the money back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in this environment, I did not realize what I was risking, because like it's like in the overnight we can easily have a 60-point move, and that's just like one swing.
Brad,
And
no one's fucking stopping your one like ES contract. No one's stop loss hunting your one ES contract. Like, I'm gonna get that guy.
I think it would be more likely to be a Russell contract than a TS for sure.
Yeah,
And they
for sure.
definitely wouldn't be it. I think like they're just like they're grouping up people to stop them out and doing it to both sides, like
Yeah,
all the time. And it's
they're
like,
very good at what they do.
yeah, no, for sure. I started to notice. I was like, oh boy. I was like starting to almost set my stop as more loss than profit, so that it was like I was just taking like $20 here and there at one point, because I'm like, I just can't deal with the swings.
A lot of the trading I've
But
been doing in like the high vol environment like this has been when I can identify ranges that are gonna chop, because you do not want to trade breakouts, and like ironically you don't want to. It's nice to be on the right side of a breakout if one happens, but you don't want to be like, you don't want to be trying to trade breakouts because they can reverse so quickly that you're just blown up before you can even take profit. So it's actually like it's in environments like this when I'm trading futures, and I have like those like I was showing you guys like the like 80-90% win rates during during the intraday. I'm trading like, 10 ticks maybe from spot. So like really narrow ranges. I'm basically trading like a reversal on a single candle at a time. Um I'm not trying to trade breakouts and stuff because you can get fucked so fucking hard on them. Like if you're exposed to like two contracts and the market moves $100, you're gonna lose like 10 grand. And you might and don't forget like futures accounts can draw down to negative. So it's not like you just lose all the money you have, you can lose more than all the money you have.
So you don't like on an intraday. You don't really like let's say like you were
If I catch
on
if I catch a move, awesome. But generally I'm putting like a take profit down as soon as I'm like 3 or 4 ticks in up. So a lot of those are like, I'm making like $100 maybe per order. So like pick up 100 here, 100 there, and just keep doing that over and over and over and over.
Yeah, that's like my first futures trade on Robinhood. My first futures, well, it's so stupid. It was on Robinhood, but I'm no longer using that. They literally froze my account. They're idiots. But yeah, I used Robinhood in my first entry. I'm so lucky it was good because I had no idea what the tick size was, so I got so overwhelmed. I'm like, how am I up this much right away? And I just got out $50 up. I was like, yeah. And then I started realizing I'm like, oh damn, this is exactly how they probably play it in futures because the tick is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like SPXL where it's like get in and get out. The decay is it's not like decay, but it's just like risk factor, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, one ES contract's $12.50 per tick, and you figure like on SPX you're playing a 10, like usually you're trying to play like $5 to $10 moves on options. And in an environment like this, you're trying to play like $25 or $50 moves, and on ES that's a massive amount of range. Like that's, $50 on ES is 200 ticks at $12.50 a tick. So, even with just one contract, it's like $2,500.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous money. I mean, that's why I got so scared when the market was actually like breaking down because I'm just like, oh damn, this is actually so many people getting margin called like into the negative that it's kind of just. I wasn't worried about how much money like I was losing maybe on stuff that was long. I was just like, dang, this is just bad in general.
Yeah, and the cool thing about options is like, the worst they do is go to zero. But like with futures, you can just keep losing money. Like the bleeding doesn't stop as long as if it's moving away from your position.
Yeah, for sure. Unless you were short like 2 dates on Wednesday, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree. No, for sure. I was watching like interviews with market makers, and um, they were saying like though, as long as you're going in with stops, that it's like, if you don't have the funds, like, are you really going to trade Microsoft with a margin account for the 50 cents a share or something that you might get out of that versus you could kind of just do the synthetic long on like Fire and Q, get the same result.
Yeah. I mean, the vast majority of professional traders trade futures, or options. It's kind of like split between the two. There's not a lot of professional traders that are trading individual equities because the bankroll you need to get any kind of meaningful leverage is insane. So usually like individual equities are being traded by like institutions if they're being traded at all, or market makers as they, move their delta around. All right, man. Well, thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, Kirk. You're an inspiration. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. That's nice.
Well,
Futures sound like a great
does
way
that
to
put us?
speed run bankruptcy. Yep.
oh yeah, that's yeah. That's why I don't touch them, even though I could. I don't.
Futures?
They're scary. Yeah.
I
they're
mean, just set
scary.
a fucking stop, dork. Don't be a
You're a stop.
don't be a tool.
You're a stop.
That's all you have to do is just set a stop. It's not like it's not like your stop's gonna get blown out that hard.
Yeah. Whatever.
Unless you're like massively over leveraged, like me.
You know I will. You know I will be.
Trading
will
trading
do that.
5 ticks from spot with 10 contracts on ES.
You know I will do that, Gert.
You're not nearly degenerate enough. You'd be too freaked out about having to owe your broker money. Like it's not really
That's
their
why I don't
problem.
even do it in the first place. Well, we got any more good questions?
After 1 hour, Dork finally saw and demeaned Sahib's question. I mean, I saw his question earlier, but I didn't think he'd ask it twice. Future is the worst thing that's happened to me since options. All right. Well, I think that's everybody. No one's sticking their hand up. So Gammastrike hat's
we
now
can
like
talk about
$500 due to tariffs. No, they're still just not available for sale.
Yeah, Gammastrike's. Yeah. Gammastrike hats. I want my Gammastrike hat, Gert.
It's in
I
my
don't know if we've talked about
yeah.
that recently.
Well, not recently, but I've still not mailed them. I was thinking about just like your COO, so I'm just gonna mail them to you, and then
Gonna
like
make me do it.
make you mail them to everyone else.
Such a cock. I'm just gonna pull them all out of the box and walk in.
I don't even know where the fuck everyone's addresses are. I had them, but now I can't find them again.
I can probably dig them up.
And then I gotta ask everybody their sizes because I also forgot that. I did order like enough, I think, for everyone. I just need to know who has like
I
a
have, 1,000 hats in my fucking house.
massive fucking head. We don't have 1,000. I only made like 15 or 20.
Dude, my brother's hat size is like a 9 or something like that.
That's like, yeah, I think that's like what mine is.
You guys have massive melons.
Yeah, yeah. It's very heavy. It's like hard to use like pillows. Like you need a lot of pillows.
Yeah, I can imagine. You probably just tip over every once in a while too.
Yeah, I'm not the most graceful.
No, I'd love to watch you dance. Love to watch you do salsa dancing. Ooh, you look sexy doing salsa, actually.
I used to do ballet. Did you know that?
Can you pirouette?
Mhm.
Can you en passant? Wait, that's chess.
I can do
Other
the
French
I
word?
can do the little I used to be able to do the little like leap thing where you like stick your legs back behind you.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Let me think about that when I go to bed tonight.
Nice. Can you Tootsie Roll? I used to be able to crip walk. I've totally forgotten how. My feet aren't that nimble anymore. Just like
My girlfriend dances and she does like hip hop dancing, and going out with her and her friends is always as a goofy, nerdy white guy.
do you just
Very
stand in the
fun.
corner?
I mean, I feel like I should because they all just put me to shame with their moves. Yeah, we need the Ballet Gherk stream card now. Peach Fuzz nailed it. I just stand there with my drink and nod my head. I'm like, yeah.
You know what I hate? The worst one is like those guys who like they enter the dance floor, but like just like like putting one hand in front of the other. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that move. I fucking hate that move.
I usually do. I don't know. I have a repertoire of very goofy dance moves I do.
Nice. Doric,
So,
Doric, next time we hang out, I'm gonna teach you how to two-step.
okay.
You can only
Am I-
you have to know what songs you can use it in, but why isn't your girlfriend doing this? She should be teaching you this shit.
Because what?
You need to start going to
Busy.
her dance classes with her.
I really do.
Yeah.
I told her I would, so I should. What are you talking about, Peach Fuzz? GSR? Oh, I'm not going to the GSR. That's where you go if you want to pay like $35 for a beer.
Wait, how much are beers there?
They're not that expensive, but GSR, they're pretty expensive.
Weekend Taiwan drama? I don't know. We're gonna go to war with China. I hope everybody knows that.
I mean, we're setting it up. I mean, has China responded to Trump's ridiculous tariffs yet with anything?
It's
or are they just sitting there-
145% tariffs as of today. You mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
are they gonna up
they're
it to 200%?
they're selling the dollar and buying gold.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah,
so
gold's
we're
gold's
gonna
up
get
2%
prices.
overnight, and dollar's down another percent. Dollar's under 100, Dork. It's happening.
Oh Jesus! Market down dollar, dude. Dude, in the big bear jerk offs we would have. This was literally what I was talking about.
This is literally what I talked about for like fucking 2 years of the carry trade blowing up.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah,
It's blowing up, and it's still leveraged to the tits, Dork. They levered it up more today. The dollar was down 2%, and the fucking the 10-year synth swap went up like 30 fucking points.
yeah. I was looking at that, dude. But look, Gherk, you explained it to me, all right, and then I forgot a lot of what you said, and then I arrived at it independently and got a lot more sad. So,
This is like when JFresh like questions my arbitrary lines on my charts. JFresh is like, hey man, I just spent the last 12 hours designing this model to determine when the market runs out of money. And I was like, oh, 6,200.
beep boop Dorito. It's fun when that stuff intersects.
It's the 1929 trend line.
Right.
That had to be the end of Keynesian economics.
Of course. Well, is it time for us to start talking about baby farms?
Probably, yeah. It doesn't seem like anyone tired of winning. China isn't backing down. They're not. They can't. Actually, the higher Trump pumps the tariffs on them, technically, the better it is for their debt spiral. So why not just let him go crazy? Just every time he retaliate with more. Get that shit up to like 5,000%. Hmm.
I knew this was going to happen in some capacity, but I didn't expect it to be China. I didn't expect it to be so extreme.
Well, we didn't put any tariffs on Russia. It's awkward.
That's true. Well, I think okay. So I think that Trump did that because he wanted to be like, look, Russia, look what I'm doing for you now.
I think
Make the Ukraine war.
I
go
think
away.
Trump did that because he chortles Putin's balls
There's a little bit of that too, but
hard.
because I mean, Putin did get him elected president in 2016 with a 4-year psychological operation campaign. So, I mean, he owes it to him.
Fair. It's honestly like I don't know how anybody's like watching Trump lament the deaths of Russian soldiers and being like, oh yeah, man, that guy is really looking out for the Ukraine.
I don't know what his deal is, man. I try not to I just try to ascribe everything to incompetence.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I'll get more sad again. And watching the dollar go below 100 is making me sad enough.
Because the value of your house is dropping.
Because the value of me is dropping. The value of us is dropping.
It's true.
Yeah, we're all in this together on that one. It ain't just my house.
No, yeah. It's actually, actually, mine's dropping faster.
Yeah, fuck off. Although there's a cereal manufacturer in Reno that just closed their doors because of the lack of demand in cereal. So that was interesting.
It's
I didn't realize we had a cereal plant in Reno.
I don't know, but you guys don't even have grains. You have like those
I don't-
fields of
don't
alfalfa, but that's it.
I just found out about this today. Don't ask me about the logistics.
Where the
of
fuck
how
do they
cereal
get the
gets made in
cereal
Reno.
from?
There's actually a decent amount of agriculture centers about a 5 to 6 hour drive away from Reno.
South?
North.
North?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the high desert?
I
I thought all the agriculture was in the valleys.
Well, there's this.
Because that's the
well,
only place where
this
there's fucking
weird-
water.
So when I've driven from Reno to Oregon,
Mhm.
we go through this just huge swath of flat land where there's actually a good amount of agriculture, and there's these towns where these farmers all hang out and their kids have 6 arms because they have so many pesticides
Oh
in
shit.
the air. But
Yeah.
yeah, the typical kind of like Yolo County in California. It's kind of like that.
Alright.
But I think it's on the California side. It's on the like just west of the Sierra. It's in this weird spot.
Hmm.
There's a crazy ass drive. You go through some fucking wicked crazy roads, like covered in like deep potholes with a speed limit of like 60 miles an hour. So you're just flying down the road.
One time
with
I
these 5-inch
was
potholes.
driving across the country and I had the bright idea of driving on the 50.
Nice job, idiot.
There wasn't a gas station for 330 miles at one point.
Oh yeah, dude, I've taken like when I've driven from Chico to like Marysville, like I've done that, and one time I did it with like a third of a tank in my old ass truck, and it was like probably like 20 miles to the nearest gas station. I'm just like watching my gauge as it like actually like goes down because the roads are so straight. You could just stare at your fuel gauge and think about, am I gonna have to call AAA and wait 6 hours to get like a little bit of gas put in my truck?
I was on the 50 west of Carson. Or east of Carson.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
Like into fucking Utah.
yeah. So you're driving down the Terminator Road.
There's
pretty
just
much.
fucking nothing there. It's like 500 miles of fuck all.
Yeah. You're driving through the middle of nothing.
There was a dead cow, and I was like, I need to mark that because I might have to come back and eat it.
Yeah, that's where people go to like murder people or ride their dirt bikes.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's nothing out there. I've never seen such
Or
a
shoot really
desolate
big
stretch
guns.
of this country.
That's where you go if you want to get a road flare and put it next to one of those propane tanks and shoot it with like a 30-06 and watch as it might kill you with shrapnel.
It just flies back at you and takes your leg off.
Or just a super cool huge explosion. Although you don't get those with propane tanks. You get like these crazy like
Yeah, what's
they
that?
call
What's
them
that? What's that
levies.
fucking explosive that you like shoot that everyone buys?
Tannerite.
Yeah, Tannerite. Did you see? There was like this these YouTubers that like they put it in like a pickup truck and they fucking shot it and the door came back and took the guy's leg off.
Oh my god. Yeah, dude, I don't screw with Tannerite. No way. That shit's scary. It's like, yeah, here's some plastic explosives, consumer. Have fun.
It's cool that they let us as Americans buy it though.
I mean, yeah, but I could very quickly figure out a way to make a Tannerite, weapon of mass destruction. Buy a shit ton. Although the ATF would be so far up my ass if I bought more than just like a little like box of it,
Yeah.
they would immediately be up my ass if I bought like an unusual amount. So never mind. That plan's all gone. Well, it's not a plan. That idea.
Stuff it inside a Cybertruck. Why? You don't need anything to blow up a Cybertruck. You can just slam the door
Yeah, you
too
just drive
hard.
it. You just drive it down the road. Seriously, no more questions. No criticisms. There's a
Nothing.
little bit of criticisms. Damn. All right.
Yeah,
Well, I guess I'll hang out with my girlfriend then.
Yeah, I guess we'll call it a night. Thank you guys all for tuning in, of course, and listening to us ramble for some reason, because you all seem to still be here. But if you don't have Gammastrike yet, feel free to check it out on our website at app.gammastrike.com and read the docs before you sign up and make sure it's the right product for you. Thank you all,
Read those docs.
and have a lovely evening. Goodbye.